Facebook Live, Jesus Christ, YouTube Live, and it's definitely wouldn't be my first Facebook Live because I was doing a lot of that shit last year. Anyways, I am tinkering a little bit. Give me a second because I want to access the chat. We are. Ooh, sweetness. And I want to be able to share this out. So let me actually share this really quick. If you thank you. If you're watching the replay, thank you for watching. And I want to dive into something from this book, which actually this book is exploring some of the explorations of Octavia Butler. And I want a quote that's actually from Octavia Butler's book, Parable of the Sower, that I think is for creatives and for change making. So I just going to share this really quick. Let's pop this over onto Facebook and we can dive in. Actual quotes. Water because you guys can hear my voice here. I did two podcast interviews today, and I think we're responding to that. Right. Oh my goodness. So here's the thing. This book, I'm still in like the very beginnings of this book, okay? But this book is really about how like small things come together, right? And so change is a big theme of this book, but it takes a lot of the teachings and the ideas and the explorations that Octavia Butler, which were primarily science fiction, fantasy, and looking at like human change. So what it actually says here on the back of the book is inspired by Octavia Butler's explorations of our human relationship to change, radical self-help, society help, and planet help designed to shape the futures. Change is constant. The world is in a continual state of flux, which is true. And if you are creative and you're like, what the fuck does this have to do with creativity? We'll get into that. So this is, I'm not gonna, obviously I'm in the beginning of the book. I'm not gonna talk about, the whole book. But one of the first quotes here that in here is, all that you touch, you change. All that you change, change. And that comes from Parable of the Sower. And that's what I actually wanted to bring up with you today, is that exploration is like, all that you touch, you change. All that is you. And we mean, and what does that mean for us as people of color and as creatives of color? And in a society where we're constantly navigating oppressive and challenging spaces and dynamics, the idea you touch, everything you do, change it, can be really empowering, and really how we interact with the world around us, how we even interact with our own creative process and creativity by, like what you create, what you put out in the world, no matter what medium that is. Like when I say creative is self-defined. So if you creative, you are creative. It doesn't matter what creative arena you like to play in, but it's self-defined. And so everything that we do changes. Everything that we touch, it changes with it. Every person that we interact with. And the same thing, like I said, with our creative work, with wherever you like to play creatively, is what you are creating is something that is going to the world. And that means that what you changes just by the fact of just you creating it. by the process of you shaping it and letting it take form and evolve, but going to create change. It's going to the people that the people that touch it, that interact with it. And I think that's really powerful because it gives us a lot of it really lets us kind of own, like, what's the impact we get to have, what is the sorry there, I got disconnected. But it can be scary to think about. Fear is something that can end up holding you back. Like, this is what I'm creating, this is the impact that I want it to have. But once it's out there, it's like this living organism, like what you do, the way you impact it has a ripple effect. And it's almost like this living organism that creates these subtle changes that can turn into these big waves. And you never really know what the impact of your actions are going to be. You can have an intention, you can have a plan, a desire, but when you actually engage or interact or touch the world around you, it takes on this life of its own, which can be really, really beautiful. And I think as creatives, we get to really embrace that in how we navigate spaces and how we create and what we create, both the how and the what, and the putting it out in the world. And I think that when you think about how, for me, when I think about how everything I touch changes, and everything that all of us touch changes, what waves of great change we can make just by showing up and touching the world with our completely 100% authentic selves, by showing up and touching the world with our creative work, by showing up and touching the world with whatever it is that you're working on, or that you're doing, or that you're putting out in the world. And all of us creatives and creatives of color, and people of color in particular, we have such immense power to create change. And we're in a world that is like oftentimes constantly erasing the changes that we make, erasing our capacity to make change, erasing our power, dismissing it, diminishing it, minimizing it. And that sucks. It sucks and it feels shitty. But when you think about everything I touch changes, and all I changes me, it really puts it back in perspective. Like, yeah, even though we are often systemically dismissed and erased and minimized, we have a great capacity to create change by showing up and by doing the work and by putting our creative work out there. We have an immense capacity as individuals and as a collective to create a paradigm shift in this world, to change the way people show up, to change the way people think, to change the way people feel, to change the way they relate to each other, the way they interact, the way they engage, the way they show up in the world and experience the world. We have that power. And in touching everything that we touch, those things, they change, but they also change us. We also get to change. We get to evolve. We get to expand more fully into who we are, into our creative flow, into our creative power, into our power, into our capacity to create joy and to bring more love into the world. And I think that's amazing. And I think that's incredibly powerful when we think of what is it that you are bringing into the world? What is the impact that you want to make? What is it that you are cultivating for yourself, for the world? These are like incredibly powerful things to think about and inspiring. Like, I feel like really juicy and inspired when I think about these things, which is why I wanted to bring that to you. Especially, I mean, the quote by itself, but like, especially because I'm rereading the quote. I did read Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler. Fantastic book, by the way. And it goes with Parable of the Talents, which is the second book in the Parables series or saga or whatever you want to call it. But in reading it in the context of emergent strategy, in this book about the little things that the little kind of changes and influences that come together to create like great waves of change in the world, it was especially poignant for me. So I wanted to share that with you guys. And I mean, I'd love to continue exploring this. So definitely comment below. Let me know what you're thinking, what your thoughts are on this. By the way, Emergent Strategy is by Adrienne Marie Brown. Shaping Change, Changing Worlds is what the little subtitle here is. But I'm really excited about diving into this and seeing how this can shift my creativity, my creative output, and not just like in my own writing, but like in my programs, in the way that I interact with other creatives of color, and the way that I help them and help them to kind of navigate their own process of like getting clear and dismantling their oppressive beliefs and really stepping into their creative flow, because that's what I do. And I didn't introduce me. My name is Kristen Iris, and I'm a creativity mentor and a speaker. And like I said, I help creatives of color to uncover and dismantle their old oppressive beliefs and conditionings and create a paradigm shift in their creative work and in their life, which is why all this talk about change is so important. And in that respect, like I said, I want to continue this conversation, so please feel free to comment below with anything that is coming up for you. Also, please do me a favor, share this out. Even if you're watching on the replay, share this out, because other people can watch this and kind of get this this discussion and join in the comments. They can join in the discussion. And with this in mind, thinking about change and the change that you want to make, I have a free video and workbook guide called Create Your Future Vision that I'd like to have you guys go get. And it is about getting into that vision of what is it that you want for your life? What is it you want to the impact that you want to make? What is it that you want to create? And then bringing that into the now by different exercises and strategies that I'm going to take you through in the workbook and the video guide that will help you to start bringing those things into your life now and really stepping into the change and the things that you want to create for your life. So you can get that at kristeniris.com/vision. Let me actually see if I can pop that in the chat. And that way, where's that? Oh, here it is. So, create your future vision. kristeniris.com/vision. There we go. It is totally free. It's a workbook and something you can keep coming back to refresh your vision, to come back to some like really simple daily tactics and practices that are going to really help you connect to what you want to bring in and start cultivating those feelings and those actions now. We got too many people that are sitting on their ass, and not sitting on their ass because they're bums, sitting on their ass because they're afraid, or they've been told that they can't, or they're stuck in obligation, or stuck in just like the hamster wheel of life. And I want to get you guys out of that and in your creative work and in your power and in what you want to create in the world. So go get the video and workbook guide. It's going to help you out. And then feel free to pop back over here and let me know what you think once you've gone through it, and what discoveries and things and juicy shit you came up with in your big vision for yourself. Let me tell you, the last time I did this, man, I had some good stuff come up. Like every time I do it, every time I go through and get in my vision, some new things come up that get really juicy. I love that word, juicy. So really juicy and joyful and fun and vibrant. So I'm curious to see what comes up for you. So thank you for watching. Again, if you're watching on the replay, please share this out. And I'm going to see about doing more YouTube lives here and just exploring this new platform. I've been live streaming for almost 2 years, maybe a little more than 2 years. I don't know, somewhere around there. And I started on a Periscope, switched over to Facebook Live, did a little bit of Instagram, and now I'm exploring with YouTube because I love me some YouTube. So do me a favor before you go, make sure that you subscribe to this channel so you get notifications when I have new videos, when I go live. You regularly put out videos that are anywhere from humor to social commentary to tips or short films that will inspire and incite you into action. So definitely subscribe and hit the bell so you get when I go live or when I post a new video. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you on the next broadcast.